I will now walk you through the configuration of a workflow. So let's start by opening the UEX console, and we want to modify a service provisioning. So I switch to service catalog, click on service portfolio, and we're looking for the new employee service, this one. I right click on this service and select edit. And we remove the approval workflow because we're focusing on the provisioning workflow, and this would just be some annoying clicking. So we remove the approval workflow by clicking on the X and have a quick look at the provisioning. So the provisioning workflow is the new employee workflow, which we'll modify later. Let's click on Done to save our changes. And we want to try this service real quick. So we go to Self-Service Portal. We switch to Catalog and search for employee like this. So this is the service we're working with. I click on Add to Cart. This is a little form where we add our data of the new colleague. Okay, he's working for Imagine Inc. He's working for the sales team. So let's say it's Germany. Now we need to select a different business unit. So this could be this one. And location, okay, let's pick something in Germany, maybe Cologne. And so that's our data. And finally, we also need a position. So he's a sales manager. And this is the manager, Connie Carter. Okay, we add this to the cart and place the order. We remove the approval process, so it will go straight to the provisioning. When I do a refresh with this button here, you see it's going straight to provisioning, skipping the approval. And what it does is, let's wait for the acceptance, so the process is completely finished. Yep, so now waiting for acceptance. What happened? Let's click on the start icon here and go to Active Directory users. We got the new user right here. When we click on the user, we can see that it added the email address that has been automatically created, and it also added the job title and the company. We can also check the email, which is right here, Outlook email icon on the desktop. We selected Connie Carter as the manager, so she should have received an email as well. So let's go here and click on Send Receive. Yep, we got the email right here. Okay, account created, account name, start password. Okay, we're good to go. Let's modify this process. So getting rid of all those windows here. And now we go back to our console. We switch to administration. And in administration, we go to services and processes, workflows, and open our Workflow Studio with this button. The workflow we're working with should be in the recent list, provisioning new employee. If it's not there, you can also go to open and scroll down to provisioning. Right here, we have two slightly different provisioning workflows, new employee. One is just named provisioning new employee. The other is provisioning new employee 2 with position check. Let's pick this one here. And first of all, I need to check out, which allows me to do modifications. Little introduction to the workflow. First of all, this order data object reads the information from the database, like delivery address, the total amount in dollars or euros for the service cross-charging. We can also read the recipient and various other things. One very important item is this form EOID. This is a pointer to the form where the data has been entered. So in the next step, get form data, it needs this variable here because it matches this the expression object ID, the EOID from the current order with the whole database table to get the correct line in the data to read the information from the forms. So that's the first name, last name, and so on, which is then read from the database to our internal workflow variables. So now we can work with those variables from the form. For example, creating a new email address like this by combining first name dot last name @domain.com, or creating a Windows SAM account name by selecting the first letter of the first name and then the last name. And then we have a little switch here. One way is for the installation, the other is for the uninstallation when we want to delete the user. In the installation, we have this object here, which is creating the ID account. So it's passing on first name and last name from the form as parameters to the script, which looks like this. It's a PowerShell script with just one line basically. So the rest is just reading the variables and checking if the name is already there. And then we do new AD user and create the account. And again, it checks if the account has been created. And all these items here just create the user in our internal database to facilitate ordering additional items for the user, like additional access rights, a computer, and so on. And finally, we have this email address, this email activity. So this is what has been sent to the manager. So we also use variables here to add information to the email body. And now we want to modify this workflow. So I move the send email over here and add another activity, which will be a task. So I search for task in the repository and drag and drop create task right here. I can also move those lines here to make space for more activities. And now we want to add parameters. The red icon says, okay, we still need at least some mandatory parameters. So one is summary, which is right here. So this is like a subject line of the task we are about to create. So in this scenario, we want to create a key card for this user so that he can also access the building with his own key card. So this could be the subject, so first name, space, last name, like this. And we can also have a more detailed description in this description field here. Please create keycard for new employee. And now we use first name, last name again. Okay. So what else is mandatory? We need a category that's up here. Could be anything. Let's take service catalog, hardware delivery. And we can also assign an optional responsible role. So this could be, for example, facility management. Other optional fields include priority or a service level agreement to make sure we finish this task within the specified time frame. So this workflow would work as it is, but it would automatically send out the email right after creating the task, so it would not wait for the task to complete. If we want that, we can search for an activity called wait for activity. Make sure you take this one and not wait for activities, just for the activity. And now we drag and drop it right here. So it needs this field here, which refers to the activity it should wait for. And to get this parameter, we need to go back to create task and assign a task ID. When we click on create variable, it suggests a name, but we will take this key instead. So type key and click on OK. And now this create task has a task ID called key, which we can enter into the wait activity by clicking here and selecting key from the list. That's it. So this is our modified workflow. I will now save this workflow, check it into the database. I can also do a validation, making sure everything is fine, and then we release this new workflow. It will automatically increase the version number, so it's now 1.15. The old one used to be 1.14. I can also roll back the workflow if I need to. And finally, I publish this workflow to make it available to the software asset and service management. Let's give it a try. So I go to my console again, go to my self-service portal, and do the same thing again, just with a different name. So catalog, and I search for employee. Here we go. And this time we will take Mr. Ford Prefect. So this would be Prefect Ford. And we take the Imagoverum AG again. Cost center is Sales Germany, and location, they work in the same office, so this will also be Cologne. Position, he's a sales manager too. And again, our manager is Connie Carter. Okay. And okay, I forgot the cost center. So let's take the cost center here. And the location. Was Cologne. Okay, now the provisioning started, and it will not finish automatically because it's waiting for this task. Let's see if that worked. So first of all, we can check the Active Directory. I do a refresh here on the users, right here. Okay, account is created. And now we should have this task in the service catalog. So when I switch to service catalog, and we go to collaboration, click on tasks, you see we got this key card for Ford Prefect in our to-do list. We can also monitor the progress in our workflow. So I go to administration, click on services and processes, workflows, workflow instances. And here we have all those running workflows. You see the provisioning new employee version 1.15 is suspended because it's waiting for this task. So I can click on this or right click and then do a visual tracking. Yep, and now we see the current status of the workflow, and we see it's waiting for this activity till the activity is closed. And let's do this. We go back to our console. We go to Service Catalog, go to Collaboration, Tasks, and open this task. See what we should do. Description. And finally close this task. Solution is done. And now we can keep the standard entries here, optional time tracking, and then the task is closed. So it should now continue. When we click on refresh, we see the whole process of the workflow again. So we see exactly what's finished. You can see up here, we already received the new account email, which was below the task. So everything's good. And also we can see all the variables down here. So each step is documented, and we can see the value of the variables, like for example the SAM account name here. Make sure that the workflow finished okay. We can also go to Administration, Services and Processes, workflows, workflow instances, and you see the workflow is completed, so everything worked fine.